Hello friends, welcome to Behind the Designs, where I create a beautiful life through creative planning. I'm Stephanie, and today we are going to be setting up something that's been on my list to do for a while now. And basically we're going to create some pocket pages to hold our Jane's Agenda quote cards or journal cards, however you want to refer to them. So that's what we're doing today. All right, so this process that I'm going to go through is going to work really for any type of pocket page you're trying to make. And by pocket page, let me see if I can move some things out of the way. We'll go through those in a minute. But by pocket page, I mean let me get this on here. If you recall, many moons ago it seems, that Happy Planner had created these plastic pocket sleeves or page protectors. They have, I think, 2 or 3 different setups. So in this case, I have there's 2 or 4 technically smaller squares and then one larger one in the middle. And this package that I had purchased was purchased some years after they first originally introduced them. So it is a bit wider. You'll be able to see. It is a bit wider than the page. Their older packages didn't do that, but that's just the way it is. So we're going to create one of these today, or 2, depends on how easily this goes. And I'm going to be using a setup for the Jane's Agenda cards. While these would fit in like one of the setups I have, I kind of wanted to show you because I see a lot of people struggling with and asking the question, does anyone have any, page protectors or pocket sleeves for these cards? So I'm just going to show you a quick and easy way to do it. I say quick, hopefully it will be. It's been a number of years since I've done one of these, so it may be a start and stop, but we're going to try and get through it as quickly as we can. So this is what we're creating. In fact, I think I'm going to take it out just for reference, just so I have it. I've got like something to reference. Let's get this out of the way. And I think I'm going to actually set this way aside because I think I'm going to need all the space that I can get. Okay, here's our model. I grabbed out a mini planner page only because if I want to make it to this size, then I have this to reference because again, this was bigger than the past ones. So I've got a Happy Planner mini page sheet, and you can use any page. You can use a Jane's Agenda, you can use a Happy Planner, as long as it's mini sized, or if you just want to cut it to mini size, that's up to you. So I'm also pulling out some typical, or not typical, but random cards. These are, let me measure them for you. They're called Inspirational Quote Cards. And if I can get it out, here we go. Let me measure these for you. So these smaller cards are about 2.5 by 2.5. Okay. And then the larger cards are about 4 by 2.5. So, and they feel amazing. These little cards, they're a very nice feel to them. That's a sidebar. Okay, so what you're going to need is, I'm going to pull this up. You're going to need, and it's going to give a little bit of a glare, and I apologize for that, but there's no other way to do it than to do this. Okay, you're going to need a glass mat, if you have one. You're going to need some scrapbook album refill papers, or they're like vellum. No, not vellum. They're plastic. So I picked these up at Michael's some years ago. They're 12 by 12 because that's a typical scrapbook paper. And it's just a sleeve. Let me see, I could pull this one out. As you can see, I'd already used this for something. So this is, normally you're going to slip a piece of scrapbook paper in it. So it's usually opened at the top. So it was open here, and then it's sealed, and then you have your side, which you would pop into your scrapbook album. So you're going to need one of these sheets. Set that aside as well. You're going to need a cutter, so paper trimmer, any kind of paper trimmer. I've got that off to the side. This is part of this, and I knew I'd forget what this was called. I will pop it into the, what it's called, into the video as I finish it. So basically what this is this little rotary wheel. Let me see if I can get that up to you. Okay, see those little points on there? So this plugs in and it heats up, and it does get really hot, so be careful with that. This little wheel is what you're going to be using, and you definitely use your metal. It comes with a metal ruler. Definitely use that because it has, if you can see right here, it has a cut in it, which is exactly the size you need for the wheel. And that's because when you are, and it has little rubber stickies on the back. So once you get your page done, ready to go, you're going to hold it in place, and then you run this along the cut in the ruler, and this is going to seal your paper like these edges, and then you'll have a sealed page. So this is going to have to heat up, and I am going to step off shortly to get that plugged in. There is no on or off or toggle switch, so once you plug it in, it's going to get hot. And then you'll also need, more than likely, what you should use is a We Are Memory Keepers power punch, or an arc punch works just as well. Arc punch, if you use arc, because you're going to have to punch this in order to get it into the planner. If you use arc, they have a shorter stem on the mushroom, so just be aware of that when you cut your page. You also have the option of cutting it after the fact, so keep that in mind as well. If you use this is pretty close to the Happy Planner length, this little mushroom stem here. So, and the purpose of using this or an arc is because Happy Planner punches do not go through these sheets. They don't go through acetate very well. I think I did plastic once and it didn't work. So again, I would just caution you so that it doesn't ruin your work if you finish it. Okay. So the first thing to decide is, since this is a very specialized page, it's for something specific. Let me see. I'm getting all stuck here. Let's see. So here's my open. Is it sealed? It is sealed. Okay. So sometimes when you start out with a fresh page, if you start out with one of the sealed edges, you're still going to do a rotary to keep it similar, if that's what you choose, like around your edges. But having a sealed edge already kind of makes it a little easy. So what we want to do is find out like what size you want to do and what kind of paper layout you want to do. So by that, I mean, we're going to take our cards and, oops, got paper falling. Let's take a little piece of Happy Planner paper. So if you were to size it to this, and even if you sized it to here, it's going to be the same thing, because these cards are a specific size, and it'll work for anything. You're going to want to kind of think about ahead of time how you want the layout to be. So for example, I was kind of playing around with some ideas, and I could get a long one in here, and I could get one above it. So there's one layout. Okay. Now what you could do is you can still put a seal here. And then in this slot, what you could put in there is a quote of some sort, maybe your word of the year or something of that nature. You can hand letter it. You can print it off, cut it out to fit this space, and just have your words going this way. So there are options, even though you can't get that third card in there. Let's see. Another one is, let's try, you could do something like this. Same idea. This bottom part, you would be, tucking in maybe another quote. You could put a quote here, a quote here. So you're going to seal the paper so you kind of want to know ahead of time what your layout might be. We're going to do the easier one. And then last one is, let me pull out these. So these are the mini date cards. In fact, Jane's Agenda just had a cyber sale, and they were, I think, one of the free gifts for ordering is some new cards for 2025. So let's say you wanted to include one of these in your layout. You could also do something like this. You could, again, do a quote here, word of the year. You can use stickers, I would make it so that you can put something there. That's my opinion. So those are just like some ideas you can work with. So again, for the purpose of this video, to keep it as short as I can, but giving you the idea of how you can go about creating a customized page protector for your Jane's Agenda cards, or really anything. You could do like this with the scrapbook paper, where you are going to, kind of decorate it up for, the season. You can put pictures in here. So again, you can use it for anything. For the video today, we are going to be doing just this one, because I kind of had an idea. So we're going to do this setup here, and then I will later get in a quote over here, which I'm thinking is probably going to be my word of the year, but that's a sidebar. So what I want to do, again, brand new page. It's easier to get started when you already have a sealed edge. And I'm going to show you why as I get into it. Let me get my rotary, I think it's called a rotary tool. Let me get this plugged in so I can start warming up. Okay, so this is plugged in. I'll probably start to feel some of that heat coming over. So what I want to do while this is warming up is kind of get an idea of how I'm going to go about getting this set up. So while this does have this edge over here, it's kind of hard to use it. There are some holes in it. Again, it's for scrapbook paper. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't advise. If you choose to use that side, that's your choice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this page together. I'm going to work out my layout. I'm going to do my rotary, and then I'll decide, I'll probably cut this off. That's really where I'm going with it. So for now, what I'm looking for now is my paper. So I have my edge down here. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. So I think what I'm going to do is I have enough room to punch it. So the other thing you can do is, if you're using a board that has a measurement on it, you can use these lines for measurements and so forth. Let's see, how do I want to set this? I think if I set it here, it might be almost the size I need. Let's get this in under here. Is it the size? It's so close. All right. I can smell this warming up because, again, I haven't used it in a while. So let's see. I think what I need to do, I got to give myself a square. So And I need to go all the way down. It's easier sometimes if you can put the paper under there because then you can kind of see it. So where's my edge? And it doesn't matter too much if it's not straight because when you cut out your page, you can always make it as straight as you need it. And then I always suggest keeping your scraps. So even if you're not using it for this project, just throw those scraps back in the envelope. You'll probably use it at some point. Okay, so I think I'm all ready. I have a line set up. I'm going to need to make it longer because, again, it is a Happy Planner page. But I'm just waiting for this to heat up. Now with the rotary tool, you want to be firm, but you don't want to press too hard because you don't want the heat to literally saw through the plastic. It is plastic, so it's going to heat up quickly. Once your tool is at the temperature it needs to be, it's really ready to go. So it's going to already be hot, so just be careful with that. So I am just I can feel the heat coming off. I don't want to touch it because one time I did and it's a bit hot. So let's give it another minute maybe. So what I'm doing over here is I'm going to create the edge that I need. In fact, maybe it'll make more sense because if I cut it along here, is this as much as the discs? Oh, of course not. Let's try this way. Again, I hadn't used this in a while, so that's how I'm going to have to remember to do it. Okay, so it's a bit tricky, but it'll work. So since this side I think is already sealed, I think what I might go to is my other side. So let's see, let me get this lined up. I need to leave room to cut it. So, and if you can do a straight line without this, by all means, as long as you have a glass top, you'll be okay. Let me get this. It is sticky, so there's a reason for that. I'm just kind of measuring this to the bottom so that I can get a general idea of where I'm going to put this. So I think for the most part, I'm going to put it here. Now let me just try and make sure I'm lined up. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to move this up a bit for you. There we go. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So let's give this first roll a try. So again, you just use the rotary part and it goes inside here. Now this is going to be my outer edge of the paper. So because this is open, I had to seal it. So just do a firm hand. Sometimes you can see, like right here, I missed. So I'm just going to go back over that. All right. You might be able to see like a little bit of it looks like a dotted edge, just like this. That's what's on the inside. So see, let me see if I can get this. Oh, you can probably see it right there. Oops, wrong side. So see that little stitch? It's like, looks like a stitched edge. Okay, so this is, I need to go a little bit more. So I'm going to go a little longer on this. In fact, if I really wanted to, can I get 2 pages? I don't think I can get 2 pages out of here. No, unless I did it this way, which would be messed up. So let me just get a little more on here. So I'm going to put it back where I had it, about, and I am going to measure it to the line I had in there before. Okay. All right, so now what you want to do before you say it's done is just double check that it's sealed. Okay, so it's all sealed. Now if you want to kind of get the other parts out of the way, you can just kind of freehand cut it. I am going to keep going because we're keeping this edge open. We're doing 2 cards. I need to know where my end is. In fact, I am going to do, so if this is our free edge, okay, so this is going to be open to slip it in. This one I will have to trim, but what I need is the line here. So this is going to go just on the outside of that stitched, I call it stitched edge. Let's put these back on here, because we also have to bear in mind the disc edge. So let's move that out. Let's bring this back down. And let's measure to this line. Just slightly over. Okay. To get the paper. So we're going to go slightly over this stitched edge. And it's really helping to have this board, because it's giving me lines that I can work from. And I'm just making sure. Okay. I think I've got it. The hardest part is keeping the plastic from flying all over the board. Just trying to move this. It's very sticky, as it should be. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to tape this down so that it stops moving. And then I'll know. Okay. Let me grab one more piece. That way I can work with this. It'd be nice if this little thing had a handle on it, but I also know that that's not always possible. Okay, I think I've got it in here correctly. Let's go ahead and give ourselves an edge. Just making sure that I got a straight edge and that I went all the way through. Sometimes this kind of bends up a bit, so I just try and realign it, and you may have to like press down on it just to make sure you're getting that edge. If the top isn't lined up, that's okay. So we're going to do this edge. And I'm going to keep it lined up. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because all you're doing is simply giving yourself a stitch, basically. I think of it as a stitch in plastic. Okay, so there is, let me take these off. All right, I'm gonna hold on to them just in case. All right, so we now have, and when I finish, this is gonna go here. This will be here. Now I need to make sure I clear my edge. And then I need to put a seam. So if this one goes down here, again, I'm going to tape this back down. It just worked out easier that way, so let's do that. Okay. So if this one goes in here, I just have to make sure I'm within my size limits. So let's bring this one up a bit. Okay. So now what I need to do is let's get an edge on that line. Let's get these out of there. Okay. Okay, I think I have it lined up. Let's give it so that I know how far over I'm going. Okay, now we're going to go this way. Okay. All right, so now we have that edge for that card, this edge for this. You're going to have a little quote area. You have the option of sealing the edge over here or leaving it free, because again, you're going to punch it. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. I think what I want to do is give myself a little bit more down here. So let me come back down here. All right. So what I want to do is we're going to do this so that I have a measurement. Okay. And if this is my edge, I'm just kind of eyeballing this. I'm not doing any specific measurements, completely eyeballing it. I think what I want to do first is give myself an edge to these cards so that they don't go shifting around. So let's do that. Okay. All right. So now I have a space for this card, a space for this card. I've got a space for a quote of any kind. I did come over into this a little bit, but I'll show you a trick how to fix that. Okay, so now we're going to look at if I'm putting my edge here and my hole punch here, I think we're good. So now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the chance, I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, and then we're going to get going to creating this first one, because I just don't want this to stay plugged in if I don't need it. Let me get this tape off. Okay. All right, so let me get that unplugged. Okay, so let's get this finished. And the process is the same. Because you're going to be using or maybe creating different cards or shapes or pictures or whatever, I really suggest having one of these boards because it did help to be able to tape this down and line up my ruler, which by the way is metal, to the lines that are on here so that I can make sure I'm getting a straighter line or that I'm staying within the space that I need. So we're going to cut now. Let's get this off. I need to remove this. Okay, now we're going to cut it down. So to start off, easy, I am going to get this trimmed down to the size I need this way. When I'm doing something, I do tend to get into the eyeball mode. I like to just work off of the way I need to see it. And see right there, it kind of got caught a bit. on that edge. So let's see if I can realign this. Okay, that did not work out very well. So let me do this. I'm going to pull this out. All right, so my suggestion would be to use a slide cutter rather than a guillotine type. As you can see, it really did not like that. Can I save this? I think so. Let me just cut all the way across, get some of this out of the way. Okay, am I in my size? Yes, good. I may, fix this up a bit. This one really got chewed up right here. So again, no craft is perfect either. But I'm here to say that I've done this, and I would say use a slide cutter as opposed to a guillotine. All right. In fact, I still need to cut, so I think I'm going to pull out my slide cutter. And I'm just going to pull out my good old-fashioned Friskers cutter. All right. So I'm just going to measure this out. And then when you're cutting this side, make sure you're not cutting where you sealed. All right. See how much easier that worked? Worked way, way better. All right, we're almost there. So now I'm going to go ahead and get this side cut. And again, I could measure it, but I like to eyeball it just to make sure, sometimes things happen. Okay. So these are your scrap paper or plastic. All right. So we now have the page cut down. Again, I could probably trim a bit more off the top. I say this, and then when I go in for that little bit extra, then I ruin it. But let's see what we can do. Let's see what kind of extra we can do. I don't know if it's worth it. Let me just see. I think I'm going to leave it. I don't want to take that chance. Okay, so we now have a happy planner size. Again, I'll worry about that later. And we have our slots. Now, if you notice, this edge, this flap is open right here. And again, that's totally up to you if you ever want to go back and seal that and then cut. You can create a separate edge. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is take my power punch and find where I need to be. The first punch on here is always the hardest because that is the one that you're going to measure all others against. And if you've already cut it to size, that's going to make a bit of a difference. So it's just a matter of going in and doing the best you can. Let's see. Let's try for the center. Let's see. Or close to it. And then the thing also with this power punch is it also is not perfect. So a lot of the times I will pull out my little nipper scissors to be able to get those extra pieces off. I do need to sharpen mine, so that's obviously a factor as well. As you can see, it's a bit jagged. That's because I haven't sharpened it, I think, since I got it. So that is something I am going to need to do. If I have to, I can go in and use my X-Acto knife to make a cleaner cut. I'm just going to try and nip this out. Okay. Just so that I have something to work from to punch the other holes. Okay. Probably should have sharpened those before I started. Okay, let's see. Can we do this? So I need 2 more. Let's try and do this with my unsharpened punch. It's not going to work well. Of course it's not going to, because I'm on camera. Okay, let me do that in a minute. Here's why. Because, let me get this off first, since it's already started. And the other part of it too is it could be because I did not seal that edge, so they're kind of loose, the 2 of them. Okay, so this is really janky. Don't mind that. I will tidy it up. Okay, good enough for now. I just want to show you what I'm doing before it gets too far in. Okay, so here's my cards. Now what I need to do, as you can see, this one's going to fit automatically. So see how it just went in there? The thing is, down here, I need to open it. And this is where you have to be really gentle. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to pull back up my glass mat. Again, apologies for the glare and the noise. And what I need to do is take a sharper X-Acto knife and a ruler. And all you're going to do is basically open that up, but you got to do it with a gentle hand. So if I'm going to put this here, I'm probably going to look to do that slot about here. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Because you're cutting the other plastic, there's 2 sheets. You don't want to cut that second one. So just kind of do it gently enough, even to get a score in it. Let's see if we did it. Just enough. The line is there. Here we go. Okay, so it's not, I don't want to like, oops, don't knock that over, that's still hot. I don't want to cut through the other side, so I'm going to use this to give me that cut. Because these are pretty sharp, these little scissors, they're pretty sharp. And then you have the option, you can put a little, you know, like half-edge circle at the top if you wanted, or not. It's totally up to you. And then you're going to go ahead and you now have a pocket. Oops, I need to open it more. For your other card. Let me give it a little bit more room to come in. How about this side? A little more. Because this side should be mostly open. Okay. This should work now. Alright. Just a little finagling I had to do. Okay. So, where's it? Here it is. I like to cover this because this does roll. Alright. So we have this. This side is still open. If you remember, and it's perfectly sized, I did come over with the rotary tool and all I'm going to do is open that back up. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to gently go down there and just pull it open. So now, if you can see it, I'm past that spot. All right. So this is now open for me to be able to put in a, again, a word of the year or whatnot. I do have now still my issue. I do need to punch this, and I'm debating how I want to do it. I'm going to tidy this up. Yeah, it really did not cut well. I'm trying to remember when I did this before, what did I use? I may have used my arc punch. I think what I would do, let me clean this off. I'm going to make a suggestion that when you create one of these, that you seal this edge. So you base measure your disk space and then cut just a excuse me, cut just a little bit more, and then you can seal that edge. So the edge will be sealed here. That'll help to keep it together when you're punching it. I think that's the first problem. My cute little page is ready, but how can I punch it? You know what? I think I'm going to try. I say this and I'm nervous. There are multiple ways to do this. I think I'm going to pull over my Happy Planner punch and I'm going to see if I can do it. We're going to see. Oops. I keep going into the other paper. There we go. Now, I made mine, pretty tight. You can give yourself some room on the edge. It's top, bottom, whatever. I did not. So let me just quickly grab my Happy Planner punch and let's see how terribly this goes. Or should I just cut it out like this, right? This is the other option. Let's do that. I really want to keep this one saved. So let me take a moment, let me cut these out, and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back, and cutting the holes was quite tedious. I'm going to continue testing the different ways that I can cut this plastic, and I'll be sure to share that with you as I test it out. But here's my page. I do have some holes in here. We're going to stick it in my planner. Let me get some of this out of the way. All right. Let's bring back out the planner. Let's bring out our page. And let's see how well it fits. Again, the holes in it are a bit janky, but I think for now it'll work. And there we go. It fits perfectly. Now, as you know, I was working on this folder. I still have something to do here, and I haven't quite figured out what I want to do, but I wanted it in there, so I just used the little snowflake to kind of put there. I did add some paper along this edge, just because it did look off having it as white paper. So I kind of like how it looks. I'll figure this out in time. And the best part about this is you can take another card, slip it in the back, another long card here. This is the same process for both the, or all three of those setups I showed, where it was like the two square cards, the square card, the larger one, and then this one. So the process is the same. You're going to leave spaces. It's all about measuring perfectly the cards that you're going to use and how you intend to use it in the future. So as I said, this is open for me to now put a word of the year. So that is exactly what I'm going to be doing with it. So I'm going to do 3 other styles so that I have all 3. I will get back to you on the punch that works best to give us that edge for the plastic that I'm using. But there you go. let me, so that it's easier to see, oops, let's get a piece of paper behind it, because then you can see how much better it looks with the cards. So there you go. So you can make your own page protectors, sheet protectors, whatever you want to call them. You can make your own even if you don't have the Happy Planner ones. Whether you're going to use them for Happy Planner cards or Jane's Agenda cards or pictures, you can make your own. All you need definitely is you should get a glass crafting mat, which all the items that I can link, I will link in the description box below. So your glass mat, you're going to have your rotary tool. This comes with the rotary tool, by the way. And it is a Project Life tool. And, have some scissors handy, have your ruler handy, of course, an X-Acto knife. And then, decide how you want to measure it out and then create however you need. Not want and need. Whatever function you're going to use it in, create it that way. As you can see, I made mine to the page size as opposed to the Happy Planner one, which was slightly larger than the actual page, which it can work out, just as a side note, if you wanted to create a dashboard of sorts. So you want to use this as kind of like a tab, then you'd want to make it bigger. And as you can see, their page was seamed. Let me do this. There. So you can see it was seamed before it was punched. So you can create that double seam. I didn't, but you can. When you do that, make sure you take into account that extra space you're going to need. So there you go. And it's the same plastic. It's a smidge thinner than the Happy Planner one, but it works because here you go. All right, so there we have it. Now create your own page protectors for your Jane's Agenda, cards, and pictures. So again, thank you for joining me today. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification. And then, of course, any supplies I can link, I'll link in the description box below. And I hope you have a wonderful day as you create a beautiful life, one plan at a time. Thank you for watching.